That's right, we did it. Thanks to your help, we made 5,000 subs. Really do appreciate it. Zeus gets his reward of a filet mignon steak. We got it from Costco. It's good stuff. They have good prices.
As you see, you got some steak. Which one do you want? That one right there? Okay, that's yours. That one right there.
If you want to go skip right to the poker, I don't blame you. It's going to be about 5 minutes ahead of us. But if you want to stick around, you can learn more information not only about Zeus's eating habits, but also about a $200 giveaway for those supporters of the channel. Zeus is getting a little bit excited for the barbecue. He knows that barbecue means leftovers, but he does not know that barbecue tonight means he gets his own full steak. Yummy.
Okay, we got 5,000 subs, and I promise you your own steak when we have 5,000 subs. Oh yeah. Go back to your step. Sit down. Okay. I'm going to take your plate and I'm going to put it down on the floor, and then you're going to be able to eat it, okay? So stay right there. Stay there. All right, come on, get it. You're eating like I haven't fed you in days. That you had your dinner, it's time for dessert. Remember, if you have to use the bathroom tonight, you're going to wake up Mom, not me. That's it. All done. That's it. I just want to take a moment to say thank you for getting us to 5,000 subs. It has been an aspiration of mine since I started the channel, and I really do appreciate your support. And Zeus is getting a nice filet steak. And for you guys, I just thought
We're off to Capital Casino playing in the 1-3 game. It's a $500 buy-in match to stack. We sit down with 500. First hand we play, we have ace-king offsuit. There is a $6 straddle and one player limps. I raise to 30. It gets folded around to the player in the hijack and he puts in the call. All the other players decided to fold out. So we're going to end up going heads up on this particular hand to the flop with $76 in the pot. Flop comes down 10-10-6 with 2 diamonds. Not the greatest flop in the world, but really it shouldn't really hit our opponent's range too hard. I mean, there are those pocket pairs out there that I have to be worried about, and of course the 10. But I decided to bet out 25 just to see what he would do. He's the type of player that likes to float a lot on flops. So I'm not surprised when he puts in the call, and we're going to go see a turn card, which is a complete and utter blank. It comes 3 of clubs. So knowing that this wouldn't help him at all, and that if he has something good, I'll find out about it here, I decided to bet $80. Really put the pressure on his floats and kind of put the worry in that he might be drawing dead already. Anyway, I figured if he called here, I'm done. If he raises, I'm very done. And I think there's a very high likelihood that he's just going to let this one go. And after some thought, he decides on the conservative route of just folding, and we take down our first pot of the day. We're in the big blind with 2 kings. There was a raise on the button to 15. The small blind puts in the call. We decide to 3-bet to 65. And everyone else folds out except for the button. He goes ahead and makes the call for the extra $50. Looking for a favorable flop, hoping he has some pair that's a little bit smaller than mine. Flop comes down 9-7-4 rainbow. So excellent flop. If he doesn't have pocket 9s or pocket 7s, we're in great shape. Definitely think he would have raised with aces. So I bet 65. I think this is probably just a little bit too big. I think maybe $50 would have been a little better. Might have kept some of his floats in. 65, I think I'm only going to get called if he has a pair like jacks or 10s, or maybe some sort of, jack 10 suited for a gut shot. So far we've been running pretty good, and the game's starting to get a little bit juicier. There are some new players at the table, and some of them have some pretty good sized stacks. One of them opens for a raise to 20. And there was a couple callers, and I had 9s on the button. I decided to put in the call. Flop comes down 10-10-5 with 2 hearts. It ends up getting checked around to me. I figure I might have the best hand here with my 9s. I need to deny equity to overcards and possible flush draws, so I put out a bet for $40. Only the original raiser puts in the call. So this has me a little concerned. He could have something like a big flush draw. Maybe he has something like an overpair and was pot controlling. Turn card comes as a 7 of spades, and now he decides to lead out at me. He could be doing this because he thinks I'm on a flush draw, and maybe he's trying to deny equity for that. And he could have something like an overpair, or maybe he has a 10. I was a little bit confused about the whole thing, and I put in the call. And looking back on it, I think this is a mistake. If he has something like a overpair or a 10, I should just be getting out of the way. Anyway, the river card comes as a 7 of hearts, so the flush got there. We got 2 pair on the board. Any 10 makes a full house, and he decides to bet 140. And at first I just go, God, this got to be a 10, right? What else could it be? I go, he wouldn't be betting an overpair at this point. He wouldn't be betting a flush draw at this point. So he either has a 10 or nothing. I'm going, wow, would he really play a 10 this way? Would he really open under the gun for a raise with something that contained a 10? It could be ace 10 suited. Well, there's 2 combos of that. Maybe jack 10 suited. There's still 2 combos of that. Anyway, I would go into the tank, and I didn't know what to do.
Everything got there. The full house got there. The flush got there. He's not going to be betting an overpair. He's not going to be betting ace high. He's not going to turn his hand into a bluff. He has to have a 10. There's nothing else out there he could have. There's no hands he could be bluffing with. Come on, this is a clear fold. Just let it go and move on to the next hand.
When you think long, you think wrong. And I thought too long on this one because I was just punting money away with this horrible call. Zeus is absolutely correct. There's no hands he could really be bluffing with. This had to be for value, and it had to be with a 10. Bad call on my part. So I ran into a few other hands along the way and ended up rebuying, and our stack is about $500 at this point. Look down at 2 10s in middle position, open for a raise to 15. I get a caller from a player in the hijack, and then the button puts in a small raise to 35. Here I was debating on whether I should go for a 4-bet with this or just call. I didn't know what to do. I felt like 4-betting would be overplaying my hand and calling would be underplaying it. So I went the conservative route and I just flat called. I'm curious how many players would put this in their 4-bet range. So leave a comment below. Tell me what you would have done on this hand. The flop is checked over to the player on the button who bets out for $45. And here I was considering a raise, but then again, what am I accomplishing? If I wasn't strong enough to raise on the pre-flop, I'm surely can't be raising here. So I put in the call for the $45. And now the player in the hijack decides that this would be a good time to raise. He makes it 120. So this is screaming strength. I mean, I played with this player before. Normally they have something. I figure the weakest he could have here is ace-9. More likely he has something like either a set of 9s or 6s or 5s. And then there's always that obvious straight that's sitting on the board. The player on the button puts in the fold, and I'd make a very loose call here with 10s, hoping that he has something like ace-9, and of course the turn card is an ace. Here I'm just totally giving up. I check it over to him, and he thinks for just a short amount of time, and he decides to bet out for $300. So obviously I'm done with this hand, and I was just trying to think what hands he would have that would bet $300 here. I don't think he has a straight. It really feels like it was a set to me. I guess we'll never know. There's a limp from the player on my right, and I look down at 2 jacks in the hijack, raise to 15, get called from the big blind and the limper to my right. Flop comes down queen 6-3 with 2 clubs. So not a bad flop for our hand, but not the greatest. We don't hold a jack of clubs. I decided to check this one. I know I'm probably supposed to be leading here with about 90% of my range, but I decided to check this one back because I wasn't really concerned with too many overs at this point. Turn card comes is a deuce of diamonds, complete blank except for the 4-5 that gets there. And the player to my right now bets for 25. I think I probably have them beat, and I put in a call for 25, and so does the big blind. So we get to see a river card, which is probably the worst card in the deck. It's the ace of clubs. So not only does the overcard get there, but the flush draw also completes, and I could have been beat already with a queen. First 2 players check. I go, I'm not betting this, I'm checking it back. The player announces they have pocket 7s, so I roll over my jacks, and we take that down this hand, but I don't feel good about the way I played it. So things haven't been going well so far today, mostly because of bad decisions. Here I decide 7-8 suited is definitely worth a raise under the gun, and I have 4 other players that are interested in participating for the $15. So we go 5 ways to a flop with $76 in the pot. Flop is not bad for us. In fact, I kind of like it. It comes queen 4-3 with 2 hearts. And the queen of hearts is on the board, so someone can't have top pair with a flush draw, which is always an added benefit. We do have some backdoor straight draws as well. I decided to lead for about quarter pot for $20. I like making the small c-bet on flops like this. It's enough to get all the riffraff out, and if someone had something really strong, they would probably raise because there's a lot of players they want to shut out from such a hand. And there was no action like that. I only get 2 callers. So I figured no one really has anything too strong at this point. And I think further aggression would probably take down this pot. Looking for a good turn card, hopefully a heart, or maybe a good scare card. Either one I'm going to be firing, and I'm going to fire on the larger size. Turn card comes as ace of clubs. Not a great card for our hand, but it is a great card for our range. So when the first person checks to me, I'm going to bet larger. I decide to go for a chunky bet of $90. I don't really expect anyone to have an ace here unless they were floating with something like ace-5 or ace-deuce suited. So I think that I'm pretty safe with this bet, but it does look like it could smash my range. So the first person looks at the bet and decides to fold rather quickly, and then the other player thinks for a little bit, and they also decide just to let their hand go. So we didn't even have to make our flush, just had to give a little more aggression. Here I am in middle position, open for a raise to 15. It gets folded around to the player in the cutoff, who is a competent player who just sat down at the table. He's waiting for the 2-5 game. He decides to make it 50. So yeah, I think I'm in trouble. I think he has a better hand than I do now. Most likely either has a big ace or a big pair. And I'm here with ace 10 suited, and I'm a little stuck, so I decided to put in the call. So we're going to go heads up to a flop with 104 in the pot, and the flop comes ace queen 7 with a queen of diamonds. So top pair and a backdoor flush draw and a backdoor straight draw. I check it over to him, expecting he's going to fire with like 100% of his range. If he has something like ace king, ace queen, he's definitely going to bet. If he has pocket queens, he'll definitely bet too. So, but I have top pair, I can definitely call. He might have something like kings or jacks that he would also bet in this spot. Turn card is a great card. It's a 6 of diamonds. So now we got our flush draw and we still have top pair. I check it over to him again, and this time he decides to check it back. So obviously I'm not putting him on anything like ace queen, ace king, pocket queens. He probably has something like kings or maybe jacks. The river card comes as a deuce of clubs. I think I make a mistake by not betting this. I think I can squeeze a little value out of a hand like kings, king, queen suited, something like that. But instead I check it over to him, he checks it back quickly, and we win the small pot, but I lost value on the end. All right, there's a $7 straddle. A player opens for 23, and we don't get 1 or 2 callers. We end up getting 4 callers for the 23. So this is a pretty juicy pot already, and I look down at my hand in the big blind, and I kind of like it, and I make it 200 to go. Take a guess what I have. No, it wasn't ace king this time, but you were close. I have pocket jacks. Definitely want to close the action here. I'm just hoping to steal the money that's already in the pot. I figure $124 is sitting there for me to grab. If I get jammed on, I was picking out the players that I would go and stack off with, and there was one player that I wouldn't stack off with. So the player to my direct left has been very action oriented, and I've seen him play a lot of pairs, and I know that he probably has one at this point, and I was hoping it was pocket tens. If it was pocket queens, I think he would have stacked off already. And I'm really hoping that he's going to call with something like 10s or 9s. And he tanks for a very long time and said that he was kind of worried about the action behind him. And he ends up putting in the fold. So that was one of the players I was concerned with. And the player who originally put in the raise, once he folds, I feel like I'm really good here. No one else should have anything of strength. And they all quickly start to fold away. I heard the players talking after this hand about what they thought I had and what they laid down. The player to my left said that he had pocket 8s and was thinking very hard on putting in $200 pre-flop. So you know the game's good when the guy tanks for that long with a pair of 8s. The other player said he had ace king and made a tight fold. And for our final hand of after a very long day, we have 2 6s in the hijack. On a $10 straddle, we open for a raise to 25. We get called by the player in the straddle. Flop comes beautiful. Queen, queen 6. Can't ask for much more. Player checks. We down bet to 15. He puts in the quick call. Turn card comes as a 10 of diamonds. He checks it over to us. I pretend to look to see if I have a diamond and decide to bet out for $40. I think I can probably size up a little bit, but I was just trying to get any action that I could. He doesn't think too long before putting in the call. Now he is a little bit of a tricky player, so I have to be wary that he could be doing something with a queen here. Maybe he flopped a queen, and he might be slow playing it and is afraid of the diamonds once they came. The river card comes as a 9 of diamonds, and now he leads out for $85. And I was thinking to myself, well, this is most likely a flush, and I'm thinking about the size to put in for a raise. And I was thinking about going for like 175 more. And as I was calculating, I kind of glanced over at him, and he gave me a signal that he was super strong. So it made me think that, wow, maybe he was getting tricky. Maybe he has something like queen 9 or queen 10 and was slow playing this thing all the time. I don't know. I didn't know what to do. In fact, someone said, "What's taking you so long?" And I go, I really don't know what to do here. And finally, I just decide I'm just going to put in the call. He rolls over a jack and says, like, good call, and then he slow rolls the ace of diamonds. I mean, come on, get serious. Anyway, I show down my full house. I take it down. Lost value again. Definitely played pretty bad today. I mean, I made some horrendous calls, some lack of judgment on many hands, and I didn't get value when I should have got value. And I would give myself a C at best for my performance today. But, you know, sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. Today was one of those days I did not have it. But I do appreciate you guys watching, and thanks for all your support over these last 11 months. I will be having a end of the year update, or maybe I should say the 1 year update from the start of the vlog, to give you guys some stats of how I've been doing, and maybe talk about some of the things I expected out of the vlog and some of the things that were quite a surprise for me. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate you guys watching and supporting the channel.